this week has been a rather interesting week in FPV. There's been a load of new leaks around the new DJI Neo 2. You've had CaddX release the Protos drone, and CaddX are also looking for testers for their upcoming GT2 VTX kit for the Walksnail Avatar HD system. Now, obviously, I wasn't involved in the CaddX launch, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. There have been reviews on that, and I want to just talk about the DJI leaks, the CaddX drone, because pricing on this isn't quite what it seems. And whilst CaddX are saying it's $359, it ain't $359 if you're ordering in the UK and Europe. And obviously, I want to highlight around the GT Vision 2 VTX as well. Before we get into this though, I just want to say, if you can hear some background noise, that is because I am in the process of testing this. If you can't see what that is, it is that. The Bamboo Lab P2S. I'm in the middle doing a print right now. My microphone pointing at me, which is basically pointing directly at the printer. So if you do have some background noise, I do apologize. Also, it might sound like my voice is off, and that's because I've been ill again this week. And as a result of that, my throat is knackered. I'm going to try and make it through this video. But again, apologize for any changes in sound, noise, volume, and usual nonsense that you get from me as well. This week, there has been a whole slew of leaked images around the Neo 2, and there is some very, very interesting stuff here. We have some images from Jasper over at X27. You've got Maro, you've got Alex Harvey, you've got Igor. Some of this is recycled images from various different places. What I'm going to do is just talk through some of this as we move through on each one. Igor is someone who's been releasing a load of stuff in recent times. So for instance, here you can see an image of the Neo 2 from above with its charging hub. The first things to note on this is that we have a top mounting object sensing camera. You've got the main camera at the front, and you've got some lenses here as well. You can see the battery grip down there in the middle. We move through, you can see it here from the front a little bit more. So there's some very interesting views on this from each of these. You can see it here with the goggles N3 from the look of it, the Love Toy remote, as well as the drone there. When we go up a bit further, things start getting more interesting. So this image here, you have a good view from the front. You have over here what appears to be a LiDAR and an LED. And over this side, what appears to be a little LCD screen. You can see this a bit better in another image, which we will take a look at in a minute. I suspect this LCD screen is to mirror what the likes of the Hover Air X1 Pro Max has, with its little screen on that allows you to control it with its smart modes directly, which means you'll be able to fly it without even using your smartphone. If you remember the original Neo, you can use this with your smartphone via Wi-Fi, but you can also use it with O4 with the DJI FPV remote, with the goggles 3, goggles N3, but you can't really use it easily on its own, even without your phone, whereas having a little screen on the front, like the Hover Air X1, allows you to select the modes, and it gives you a bit of a readout of what is going on. Moving through a couple of the other images, now is where things get particularly interesting. If you look here, there is an image of it from the rear, and there's an image of it here showing a separate module. Let me just find those images a bit bigger. I've got that one there. There you go. You can see that image there showing you this module on the back. For those who remember, we discussed this in the FCC filings. DJI appear to be releasing the Neo 2 as Wi-Fi only with the OcuSync module, and it now is clear that it bolts on the back. If we hop into taking a look at a couple of other images, this all gets a bit clearer. So here you can see the back of the drone with that module on. And here you can see the back of the drone with the module removed. There's a USB-C port, 4 screw holes, and then you've got the OcuSync module down here. Now, just to be clear on this module isn't just going to be an O3 or an O4 ear unit. The O3 and O4 ear unit has to have its video processing on board, memory storage on board, power systems on board. This wouldn't need that. You would still have the main video chipset in the drone itself. This would just be the RF element, the S2 chipset, the power amplifiers, maybe some power circuitry, but it isn't going to be a fully fledged USB 04 or 04 Pro ear unit. Just to comment on that, some people have said, oh, is it going to be 04, 04 Pro? 04 and 04 Pro is simply the camera and an extra power amplifier and onboard storage. It will be whatever they've designed it to be. 04 and 04 Pro is the same wireless system. DJI have simply limited it via the RF power and the RF video capabilities. Looking through from here, you can see a bit more on the front where you can see the sensors. One thing just to note, and you do see on here, there does also appear to be a lower object sensing camera as well. So you've got the front mounted camera, which will do object sensing, top mounted and bottom mounted object sensing cameras at the rear. There's a better image here on Drone Excel, which shows us the front. You can see there, this appears to be LiDAR and TOF sensors. You can see the line down the middle. And this here, to me, definitely looks like an LCD screen. You will also notice there is another hint on the camera. That gimbal looks to be 2-axis, not single-axis, like we see on the original Neo, because that camera is twisted differently to the angle of the drone. So we appear to have here the new Neo 2, which has a larger camera sensor. The leaked specs are saying 1/1.3 inch, I believe is being said. It's going to have, looking at it, front object sensing from that sensor, LiDAR on the front as well, top and bottom object sensing on the rear, Wi-Fi as standard with a bolt-on OcuSync module. So this is a very different product than we had with the original Neo, and it is incredibly interesting. This is, to me, one of the most interesting DJI releases that we have seen for some time, and this is really starting to step the Neo up out of some very basic camera drone and more up into something a lot more capable. Maybe, and this is speculation, I'm starting to wonder if DJI will end the Avata 2 as a standalone drone and make it the Avata 360, or we'll end up with an Avata 3 with even more spec. If they've put object sensors on this, you can sure as well tell yourself it's going to be coming on the Avata 3, that is for sure, and their new 360 drone that is coming in the future as well. Overall, there doesn't appear to be any new goggles. I suspect this will work with the Goggles 3 and Goggles N3, as well as the Love Toy 3 and FPV Remote 3 as well. Be based on 04, and I will be ordering one in when it is available in the future. Now, alongside the Neo 2 leaks this week, we've actually had the launch of a starter drone from CaddX, the Protos. This is a new ready-to-fly drone kit, which is based around their new Ascent FPV system. I don't have one. I wasn't involved in the launch. We don't work with CaddX on this channel directly anymore. I have ordered one in though. There's been some great reviews this week from the likes of JB and others, which I'll talk about in a minute. And there's also some interesting things around the price, because whilst CaddX are launching this at $359, depending on what country you're in, you might actually pay more or even less than that. They've also, though, asked for testers for their upcoming GT2 VTX, which we'll talk about once we've talked about the Protos. Okay, so the new CaddX FPV Protos. Now, I don't have one of these. I'm not involved with CaddX anymore. We don't work with them directly on this channel anymore. As a result of that, I've obviously had to order one. I've ordered it. I've paid for it. I'm waiting for it to ship from CaddX. God knows when that will be and what I will actually get. And when it does arrive, I will then start making my content on this channel. But look, it's going to be a few weeks. If you are interested in finding out more, there are some phenomenal reviews out there on this product. JB's was particularly good, as was UAV Futures, Andy RC, and Nick Burns. I'd actually suggest watching all of their reviews, because you'll get a little bit of something different from each one, and there was definitely some interesting takeaways that each of those guys had to say. Now, with regards to the most interesting things around this drone is the new digital FPV system, which is Ascent, and I will be showing a lot more about that once I actually get it. But B, the price, because CaddX had announced this at an aggressive price of $359. However, the CaddX website can't quite make up its mind what it actually wants to charge you, because depending on what country you're in will depend the price you actually pay. And we're not talking about postage here. If you're in the US, it's actually already applying a discount to some people in the US. But if you're in the UK and Europe and Japan, it's charging you more, and is actually quite a bit more, pricing it at close to $400. Now, just to show you what I mean on this, if I add this to cart, and then we go to the checkout, you will see that with the delivery selected to the US, the price isn't $359. It's actually applied a $20 discount and dropped that price to $339. Now, that is obviously before any shipping. However, it is already applied a $20 discount. If we then, though, start changing it to other locations like the UK, that $359 price is completely gone out the window, and now it is saying $419 with a $20 discount down to $399. It is the same if we shift over to Germany. Germany, like the UK, is being charged that $419 rather than that $359, and it's applying that $20 discount. And then if we hop over to Canada, it is then jumping back to that US pricing, $359, and again applying this $20 discount. What is interesting is, out the door, before this product has even shipped, CaddX's website is offering a $20 discount on it before anyone's even received one after its launch. What I don't like, though, is the fact that the UK, Europe, and countries like Japan are not getting this $359 pricing. Instead, we're being nailed at $419. And this makes the value proposition on the new Protos very different than it has been implied in all of the marketing and the reviews that the guys are basing the price on US dollars. For instance, if we do some conversions, that $359 will come out at about £269 in the UK. However, if we move it up to that $399, that pushes it up to $299 or £300. Now, that isn't terrible. It doesn't make it a bad deal, but it certainly isn't the pricing that we were all seeing as part of the initial launch. Now, it is possible this is something related to VAT. So, for instance, if you take the 359 times it by 1.20, that gets you to about $430. It is a bit more than the 419 that they're showing on the website. Or if you take the 269 and times it by 1.20, you're coming up at £322, about 22 quid more than the $399 that we are seeing, £299 on the conversion. It is just a little bit frustrating that those of us in Europe are paying more. It might be VAT and it might be tax. More than anything, I just wanted to highlight the fact that all of the noise around this product has been around the fact that it's $359, but it is only $359 if you're stateside. And in fact, if you're stateside, you can even get it a bit cheaper right now. Now, obviously, as I've said, I don't have the Ascent, and I recommend you go check out some of the reviews from the likes of JB, Andy RC, UAV Futures, Nick Burns, and others. They'll give you a bit of a good overview. So Nick Burns had a problem with his remote controller. JB had very mixed feelings on the RF system. Some really interesting observations when you watch the videos. It still isn't clear what software the drone is using on board. I do know it really doesn't appear easy to fly, in the sense of the latency mixed with just how dumbed down it is makes it a little bit challenging. Poor Nick couldn't fly it in acro because he was stuck in position hold mode. Obviously, the drone doesn't have GPS, it uses VPS. JB demonstrated that the visual positioning system isn't particularly great as well. RF performance is interesting. That black and white behavior seems to have disappeared that we'd seen in all of the earlier firmware. In fact, some of the reviews were showing it with that moving into black and white, and some of them weren't. My understanding is the later firmware doesn't have the black and white, just the reduction of the image feature. RF power is limited to 100 milliwatts on the drone itself, although the goggles are rated up to 1200 milliwatts, so it'll be interesting to see how that performs with anything else that comes in the future. My understanding is as well, CaddX are releasing a standalone VTX for the Protos in the near future as well. Now, just to share with you a few thoughts on what I've seen in the reviews so far, there are two main things that I've spotted. The Ascent system itself seems like it needs work. Everyone seemed to be struggling to fly this thing, whether it be in acro mode or in position hold. JB talked about the position hold performance didn't seem particularly good, but also just watch all the reviews. Everyone struggled to fly this thing. The comments that I've been told behind the scenes are this is latency related. It's not that the drone flies bad, it flies okay, but the latency appears to be a lot higher than what is being said on the system, and it is making it difficult at times to fly. Honestly, I was shocked at just how most people struggled. Nick Burns struggled. JB struggled at times at the start. You can see that holding altitude was difficult, although JB really got to grips with it in the end. There is definitely a tell in what people were showing and how they flew it, in how the system is performing. And more than that, you then have the value position of the drone and the product and the FPV system, and that is a problem that it isn't part of an ecosystem. It doesn't matter how cheap it is, it doesn't make it great value when it won't work with anything else. As an example, you can go and buy a DJI Neo with goggles N3, and then you can go and buy yourself a Nazgul with 04 and fly it absolutely fine. You can go and buy yourself a set of goggles L and a GoFilm 20, and then upgrade that to the Moonlight VTX, the Pro, whatever you want later. The Ascent system today is a dead end. If you buy this, there is no upgrade path. Even if CaddX release a same VTX module for other drones, that doesn't make it an ecosystem. Right now, this new Ascent system is the end of a road, and if you outgrow that drone and that FPV system, you have nowhere to go without going to buy another set of FPV goggles. I have no issue with the remote in the sense of CaddX having a cheap basic remote. People have to upgrade remotes even with the DJI gear. What I think is difficult to recommend is the drone based on a dead end, because you are far better buying yourself a Neo with the goggles N3, and then you can go and upgrade in the future without having to buy new goggles. Go and get yourself a GoFilm 20 with a set of goggles L. Again, you can upgrade, you can use the gimbals even. Those products have a path, whereas the Ascent system today does not, and it's going to take time for that path to be developed. In the future, maybe in a year's time, if there's an Ascent Protos drone and then there's a low latency VTX and a proper set of goggles, then yeah, that actually makes sense. But it's really hard to recommend a product that is a dead end. Even the cheap Emax kits come with analog FPV, which you can use with any other analog FPV. And this Ascent system right now sits in a very strange position as a result of it being its own thing on its own and not part of anything else. Alongside the Ascent, CaddX have also put out a post saying that they are looking for testers for the new Avatar HD GT version 2 VTX. There has been no talk about what's happening with the new Moonlight, the GT VTX, which was CaddX's high power VTX. It's been around for some time. It is a product that had a bit of a difficult birth for anyone who has the GT. It, number one, didn't have the UART on board that made it compatible with the GM series of gimbals. Well, it did have the UART, but it was internal, not external, which meant you had to take the VTX apart to use it. Number two, the low power mode behavior was pretty terrible. You had to literally put the goggles on top of it, and the SD card slot was pretty horrific as well. It does seem that CaddX have resolved a lot of this, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. CaddX's post says, call for GT2 testers. 5 skilled FPV pilots will be selected to put the capabilities of our next generation GT2 VTX to the test. What you will get, a free I will add, GT2 VTX to keep. Early access to groundbreaking video transmission tech, and a direct influence on the final product, working together with the global testing team. Now, there is selection criteria. You can test in a multi-rotor, fixed wing or ground-based vehicle. Provide reasoned feature suggestions specific to the GT2 in the comments below. Have hands-on experience with the Walksnail Avatar HD system, preferably the GT VTX. Have experience pushing the capabilities of Walksnail Avatar FPV system and providing evidence of this. Evidence is important as a comparison metric. You can define what push means to you. A member of the community Walksnail official Facebook group, or a member of the official Walksnail official Facebook group. I can't even say that properly. So basically, they are looking for people to test this, tell them what they think. I'm going to be honest, they're probably going to want you to tell the community what you think about it as well. You're going to need to give up your free time, risk your aircraft, your vehicle, and in replacement, in compensation, they're going to allow you to keep the VTX. So just make sure that you are grateful for that. Now, the selection process, community popular choices. 5 testers will be selected based on the suggestions they receive and a community vote. Now, they have also shared some images. So here is a picture of the new GT2 VTX. She is a bit chonky, but hey, it's to be expected. I'm not sure of the height, so I can't tell you what it looks like. What I have been told is that it fixes a number of issues. It's got a proper SD card slot. You can see in a second image, there is an image somewhere showing that it's got a USB-C port on it now. Here it is. You can see that we've got a USB-C and we've got the external UART. My understanding is the antennas are MMCX, not UFL. A little bit of a surprising change. I don't have anything against MMCX. It's just not as widely used, which limits your antenna choice a little bit. I believe they fixed the SD card slot as well. Other than that, though, we don't really have a lot of detail. You can see that it has the built-in fan at the top now too. Overall, though, looking good. Pleased to see that the GT version 2 is finally coming. This isn't a VTX for everyone. This is a bit of an image there with the camera. This certainly isn't a VTX for every user. It's too big for a lot of quad users. You're gonna have the size in a VTX with high output power. Although, if you look what DJI did, 04 Pro can do 33 dBm, 1600 milliwatts. If this is 2 watt, it isn't much more, but a lot bigger. But let's be honest, do we honestly expect CaddX to have the same packaging capability as DJI? The answer to that is probably no. So, the GT version 2 is coming. Looking forward to this. Hopefully that'll be a good VTX. Obviously, only for use in countries where you're able to use the power. We don't even know what the maximum RF power is on it yet either. So if you are interested, they have their post on the Walksnail official group. Do go check it out. And if you're lucky, you never know, you may get selected and you might be able to check it out. So, as I've said, I've ordered in the Protos, $400. I'll order in the GT Vision 2 when it arrives, and I will absolutely be buying the Neo 2 on the channel when that comes out as well. If you're interested in seeing teardowns, deep dives, information on those products, please do make sure you are subscribed, and please do consider supporting this channel via Patreon as well as Buy Me a Coffee. As I've just said, we will be buying all of those products. We do not work with DJI on this channel. I do not work with CaddX anymore. That is mutual. After I made the video calling them out around their NDAs towards KOLs, they threw their toys out the pram. One day I'll share the emails on that one, and they are going to look pretty bad, I can promise you that. However, I have also decided that I do not trust CaddX on this channel anymore. So much so, I've decided to close down my affiliate scheme with CaddX. I have said in the past many times, I only use affiliate schemes from trusted brands. Brands who behave properly. I have chosen not to use the CaddX affiliate scheme moving forward because I do not recommend a brand that I don't trust. That doesn't mean I can't recommend specific products, but I am not in the position with CaddX anymore that I can completely sit here and hand on heart say they're a brand that you can believe what they say when they say, hey, this is coming out and it's going to have these features, because time and time again, CaddX have proved they cannot be trusted. So it is only through the support of my Patreons, people who donate through Buy Me a Coffee or people who support through Super Chats, I'm able to keep making content on this channel. And if you'd like to support us, please check out the links below. I genuinely want to say a huge thank you to every single Patreon. I would not be able to tell DJI to go fuck themselves, CaddX to go fuck themselves, without your support, and the people who have donated is the only reason this channel is able to continue today. Anyway, enough of that rant. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and I will speak to you soon.